Alright guys, so this is my third take trying to get this video, making sure I have everything in there that I want. So anyways, this is the next upgrade I've done to the Tacoma, which is the roof rack. Ignore the box that was mounted yesterday. But anyway, this is the Victory 4x4. Here's their little logo. This is the Victory 4x4 AccessRack. It's really similar to like the Prinsu roof racks and stuff for the Tacomas. Almost identical design, slight variations, but overall it seems to function the same. So a couple things. This is an aluminum rack. It is power coated. They supply all the hardware you need all along to mount it and assemble it. It comes with these little kind of rubbery-ish gaskets up here to keep the rack from rubbing on the paint. Comes with that on the front and right there in the middle on the back. You can kind of see the construction up through the back. Plenty of random holes and slits and stuff to strap stuff down to or whatever. Now the edges are a little bit sharp. I mean, it's probably not going to cut you, but just something to note. Edges are kind of sharp. Here's the front view. Looks pretty nice. Yeah, this side is kind of a quick walk around. Now this is not going to be a video on that. I'll do a separate video of stuff mounted on the roof rack once I have done that. So guys, I have driven several thousand miles with this roof rack without anything mounted to it at all, just the roof rack. I've driven several thousand miles with it, and they claim that their roof racks do not make noise. That is simply just not the truth. Now granted, I don't think it's any more noise than any other roof rack or anything else on the roof would make. I mean, it's obviously noticeable. Like if you're going 65 miles an hour, you hear the wind roaring across the roof rack. That does not bother me in the slightest, but other people are sensitive to it, so I'm just being transparent. It makes a lot of noise when you're driving. Again, I do not care. Just being transparent with you, okay? I'm gonna climb up here real quick. Bear with me. Alright. So the overall construction is very similar to those of the Prinsu racks and other similar ones, right? They just have these crossbars. All have the slots that you can put bolts in, like T-nuts and stuff. And that's an option that you can use to mount stuff on. They're plenty strong. Now here's me just standing on it. Plenty strong. Anyways, overall construction, fit and finish looks great. The rack was easy to throw together. Now where I ran into some problems, and this is going to be negative for a minute, but I think it's important to tell you, okay? So, specifically with the access rack, okay? The double cab Tacomas come with pre-drilled channels, holes in their channels that you basically just screw the rack right on top of, nice and easy. That is not the case with the access cab. There's no holes in the channels, so you have to drill everything yourself and mount the supplied riv nuts in there so you can screw the bolts into it. So anyway, I'll show you up here. You can see this was one successful riv nut. I've siliconed the crap out of it because this ended up being a huge mess. This is what I did for all the others up front. Just ran a bolt straight through it and lots of silicone, okay? So, probably won't be able to see it very well, maybe a little bit. So in here, I did get the riv nuts to work in the back on all four. Now I got those done, but by that point, I wasted all the spare ones trying to get these to work up here. It's just different metal. The riv nuts were not wanting to take to the roof rack or to the front of the cab at all. There's extra metal there. And anyways, so that spare going on about that, I contacted Victory 4x4 about this problem, as I had already had several holes drilled into my truck And they took about a week and a half to respond to me, which that in itself's not cool. You know, if I got a bunch of holes in my roof rack or in my roof of the truck, a week and a half response time was not great. So anyway, for the time being, I put Gorilla Tape over there, just trying to keep water from flooding my brand new truck, which happened to work temporarily. But then I'm like, okay, well, I can't wait this long. I need to figure out a solution to mount this thing. So that's what I ended up doing with the bolts up here that I showed you. Up in there. That was my solution to the riv nuts. I just drilled a hole clean through. Used bolt, putting it up through here, nuts, washers, all that stuff, and just clamped them down and just used a ton of silicone to hold it in place. Several thousand miles later, still seems to be holding just fine. Just looks a little ugly, but I really don't care. You really can't see it from down here anyway. But anyway, back to the email. So they finally got back with me about a week and a half or so later, and their reply was not really helpful. For one thing, just the time frame was terrible, but they had basically just said, hey, we can send you more hardware for $50 or something along those lines. I'm like, okay, well, thanks, but I've came up with something else, which was the bolts. Now, I'm going to kind of gripe just a minute about Victory 4x4. Not their products. This is the first product I've owned by them, but you can see how clean they are. I mean, they're just really nice, even power coat. Everything's really clean about it. Looks nice, but I've contacted Victory 4x4 multiple times asking questions about bumpers and sliders, skid plates, roof racks, all this kind of stuff, and almost every single time they've taken several days to reply, if not like a week or so, to reply to me. So that in itself's not super cool, because like I've contacted RCI and CBI and multiple other manufacturers of these kind of products, and every single one of them has been able to get back with me in faster times than Victory 4x4 has. Now, most of the time, whenever I finally hear back from Victory 4x4, their responses are not at all what I'm looking for. Like, say I'm asking the weight difference between a steel bumper and an aluminum bumper. They'll say aluminum's about half the weight of a steel bumper or something, and then they're like, how about you just call us and then we'll talk on the phone. That's really not a helpful reply. I don't know what half the weight is of a product if I don't even know what the weight of the steel bumper is. And the weights on their websites aren't accurate, and I tried to point that out with them because they weren't changing when I was selecting different options. But anyway, multiple times they just told me to call them instead of have a conversation over email. If I wanted to do that, I would have done that to begin with. I like email because it gives me something that I can have reference back to, so I can remember different products or information about products. I like having those emails. But anyway, I'm going to critique Victory 4x4 on that because that was not stellar. I do plan to go with Victory 4x4 for the remainder of the build. As of this point, you know, I'm still planning to go with them for front and rear bumpers, sliders, skid plates, so on and so forth. Like, the products look great. I mean, they're well made, well put together. I really like the fact that they do YouTube installation video guides on all these things, and that's the biggest seller to me, is actually having something to reference to put these together. Anyway, just their customer service was not all that good as of today. But anyways, I just wanted to share that with you guys as I'm closing out. Just give you one last walk around here. Thank you guys for watching. To my knowledge, this is the only video on YouTube about this access rack, specifically by Victory 4x4, aside from the Victory 4x4 installation video. So as far as like a consumer buying it, I think that this will be the first one on YouTube. So if nothing else, it gives you a look of a view of what it looks like. I think it looks really good. It matches the body lines great, the windshield, the sides. Really, really nice looking rack. Anyways, if you guys have any questions or anything, please feel free to contact me. Thank you.